Hello, I'm Finola Hughes from General Hospital, and I am here on $2 late fee with Zach and Dustin, and we're going to talk 80s and 90s movies. See you there. I'm known to swear, and I'll try not to.
No,
Oh, you
we encourage swearing actually.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
That's so
And,
good. Then you're my guys. Then that's
and
good.
yeah,
I,
encourage it,
I have
welcome it.
a I have an attack kitten, and she may come and attack me at some point. So I apologize in advance.
Very nice. How long have you had this attack kitten?
I rescued her about a month ago.
Oh,
Um,
congrats.
yeah, thank you. She's very sweet, but she sort of vacillates between David from Schitt's Creek and something really sweet. So I never really know. I'm always on my back foot, I just don't know what's
Such
coming up.
a good reference, the David from Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, so we
Uh,
have, it's here she goes. It's a
oh my gosh.
I know. So we're in this sort of interdependent relationship right now until we can work it out.
I love
Yeah.
it. How old is she, do they think? Or
She's 3 months.
three
So
months?
Oh my
I got her
Yeah,
when she was
gosh.
2 months. She was hand bottle raised. So
amazing.
her mother
Wow.
better. Her mother was like, I'm out. She's like, let some patsy from England take her. Yeah.
That's
Anyway.
so funny. You know
Do
what's really
you
interesting, not to interrupt you, Zach,
I know.
just that I'm very involved in dog rescue, and
Oh,
we've
good.
noticed with dog litters, like sometimes it just the fluctuation between I mean, I guess it's the same with humans, but the fluctuation between the attitudes of the moms toward the litters is so fascinating to me because for the most part, they're kind of like, all right, you're old enough, do your own thing. But occasionally there's like a mom that's just like, don't touch my like just screaming at you, and you
Yeah,
can't, and we
that's right.
can't, help the babies because the mom is just and just never really grows out of
Do they
that.
know the term helicopter parent or they're not aware?
Right. We tell them, we're like, don't be a dog.
You're
We don't
like,
want that. It's
yeah,
negative. Yeah, it's a negative term now.
you're
Yeah.
raising someone who's going to failure to launch right
They
there.
don't care.
Cat's gonna have
Yeah.
like dependency issues. Like, where
Yeah.
are you?
Yeah,
Where are
I
you?
know. Yes, it's
Um,
like
are
Just
you are you a cat person normally? Have you had cats in your life before? Or are you?
no, I haven't.
Oh,
Like my daughter adopted a cat. Actually, a bunch of cats were born on a barn, a friend's barn, and so we went to have a look at them, and they were
oh.
kittens. And of course, that was stupid because my daughter was like, and I'd never had cats before.
Mhm.
I'm a dog person. I had two rescue dogs outside,
oh,
and
great.
not outside my house, outside the other room, and
Just tied up to some
yeah, they're
chain,
just like tied up with a
barking at the
chain.
mailman. We don't
No,
care.
they
Yeah.
thought they came to a better home. No, um,
Right.
no, they're in the other room because one's a lab and so very needy, like a very needy lab, and the other's a husky. So anyway, so yeah, so we got a kitten from that litter, and then I was like, well, I want my own kitten, like it.
Oh, that's adorable.
What did you name your cat?
This one is named Petunia.
Petunia, like patchouli and petunia put together?
It's a flower, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just Petunia. Yeah.
Horticultural. Yeah, because I thought the bigger the name, and I don't know what the rest of that sentence is, but
The
and
smaller the bark.
Well,
yeah,
no,
that's
I
right.
I used to I used to be a kindergarten teacher, and we would always do a an opening to the school year where we would talk about all the kids' names, the meaning of their name, and I would read the book Chrysanthemum. Are you familiar with that?
No.
Okay, because there's a kid, I think it's a mouse or a rabbit. The parents name their child Chrysanthemum, right? And everybody teases the kid at school because it's such a big name, it's such a broad name. And then as the story unfolds, you realize why the parents named their kid Chrysanthemum, and there's
Why?
a sweet backstory, and it's something to do with like that flower is like a very hardy flower, or it's
Yeah.
and it's sweet smelling or something like that. Anyways, it ultimately has a positive message, but
You're like, anyways, who cares? I don't read it anymore. That was
Imagine going through childhood with the name Finola. It's like,
well, it's a kind of perfect segue.
yeah, there you go.
Definitely people be like, "Oh, you picked that as your stage name? What are you
No,
talking
no,
about?"
no. I went on Arsenio Hall show one time, and he sat there and he's like, "What kind of name is Finola anyway?" And I was like, "What kind of name is Arsenio?" And I'm like,
Arsenio.
"There is,
True.
yeah, like, where are we going
It's
with
a
this?"
it's a great
So,
intro to an interview.
yeah, it was funny. He probably set me up. He probably set me up. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, that's an Irish name. So I think my dad had one too many, and he was like, let's just call it Finola. Nobody will be able to pronounce it.
Oh, I mean, we pronounce it correctly, and
You.
for the past 30, 40 years now, my
That's a
gosh.
good segue. Woo.
Yeah, I mean, it's the what 41st anniversary of the movie Staying Alive. Before we get to that though, you were in the Apple, and I had spoken to Catherine Mary Stewart a little while back. Um,
That's amazing. I want an Apple poster. If anybody out there finds an Apple poster, I want one. I want an Apple
I'm
poster.
sure Zach owns one. Yeah.
I don't own an Apple
Oh,
poster.
no? All
No, but
right.
I
I'm
I own an
disappointed.
Aspen Extreme poster, but we'll get to
Okay.
that later. So,
There you go. So
the Apple was your first kind of break into the business,
No, well, what had I done?
at
I
least
mean,
screen work, right?
yeah, I suppose so. I think I did like a few things when I was a kid. Um, but yeah, yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I feel like I was working when I was 11. So, yeah, I think I had like an inflated opinion of how much work I'd done, but yeah. So I guess maybe that was the first movie I danced in. I did Clash of the Titans, I suppose.
You
That
did,
was with Laurence Olivier
right?
and just to drop a huge name. Um
just
and
that guy.
Ursula Andress, I think, and Harry Hamlin.
Maggie Smith, I believe, was in that as well.
Oh my God, was she?
Yes.
I didn't meet her. Damn.
Oh,
I met Laurence Olivier. He was standing in heaven, of course, because he was
of
Zeus.
course.
And I sort of marched over to him. I think I was 16 and introduced myself. I was like, yeah, I don't know, because that was major. But yeah, anyway, but then we all went to Berlin. So that was choreographed by Nigel Ithko, and it was directed by
Menachem Golan. Yeah,
Menachem Golan, yeah.
the Go-Go Boys. Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, he produced it.
Yes. It was a
He
Canon film, right?
It was a Canon film, correct? Yes. And we all went over to Berlin. There was like, I don't know how many dances, 40 maybe, 30.
Yeah.
And it was choreographed in London. And then we went over. And it was insane. I mean, we were in Berlin, I was 19.
Yeah, Berlin in the early 80s. We were
Yeah.
still dealing with a lot of fallout.
Well, the wall was still up.
Right. Exactly.
I went across to East Berlin twice. And I kind of, you weren't allowed to take money in. And me and a couple of the other dancers, we thought, well, we would go in, we'd do the right thing, and we would buy things. And yeah, they took all our money at the border. They're like, no, you can't. You're only allowed a certain amount.
Oh man.
They gave you their money. You had to exchange it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I don't know. And I had this big idea that I was going to take some jeans in because people couldn't get jeans. And yeah, there
You're
was.
gonna be a savior to the people who need their jeans.
I was like, did anybody want a radio or some jeans?
They're like, we want Jordache. You have Jordache?
I should give you the jeans off my back. But yeah, anyway, I had all these ideas, but I was 19, didn't know what I was doing.
I mean, you're 19 working in a movie with, well, Menachem Golan is a very interesting character. I think is a nice way to put it.
That would be it. Yeah. I didn't have a lot to do with him. He used to yell a lot, but
yes.
yeah. But I've been one of those people. I fly under the radar wherever I go. I'm just like, I gauge the room and I'm like, oh, just hover about here. Don't make yourself known. Don't be the worst. Don't be the best. Just kind of hover.
Smart.
Like, yeah. So that when you see those kind of big personalities, you're like, I'm gonna hover over here. So that's what I did. But Catherine Mary Stewart, oh my God, I was obsessed with her. She was so beautiful. And she was so nice to us. She would she would hang with us because she didn't have anybody her own age to hang with. And there was incredible people like Grace Kennedy.
Yeah.
And I knew Grace Kennedy because I had done the Grace Kennedy show in England. So I knew her as a dancer. and then she went on to do more, and I went on to do more of her shows. And we both met the Queen at the same time,
Oh,
Grace Kennedy and I.
Oh,
wow.
We were both in the same show. You know, they do the Royal Command performance.
Okay.
So after I did Staying Alive, I was invited to do the Royal Command performance, and Grace Kennedy and I, we were both there.
Wow, what a trip. What a trip. I mean, yeah, The Apple, if no one's ever seen it, it is a true cult movie where you have these diehard fans who do screenings here in Los Angeles at the New Art or the, whatever it is on the
Yeah, the
Santa
new
Monica Boulevard. But that if you bookend that with Staying Alive, you've got yourself a great double feature.
Hmm.
You do, and yeah, but we'll put it on, and I'll throw in the intermission. Get up and do one of my old tap dances. No,
All right, you heard it here first, folks. We're $2 late fee is going to do some screenings hopefully in
What a
2025, and
deal.
we'll get
$2
Finola.
each. $2.
Yeah. How did Staying Alive come about? Like, talk us through that, because, by the way, that I saw that movie in the theater as a kid with my mom. Loved it then, still love it now. I know it's another cult classic, but
It is.
talk us through it. How did you how that all come to be?
Well, after doing the Apple, I went back to England. I was doing a lot of light entertainment. They used to have light entertainment shows. And then Gillian Lynn put out a thing that she was doing a big audition for Cats. So I went along to that, and I got into Cats, and
And
we
now
were
you're
the
literally into cats.
and now
And now there's a cat literally climbing behind your head.
yes.
It's full
And
circle.
she has perfect timing. David, yeah, David. Anyway, so and then I did the Nutcracker, which was with John Collins, and then I went into Andrew Lloyd Webber's other show, which was Song and Dance.
Okay.
So it was during Song and Dance. I think it was Esther Charkham, who was a casting director in England, asked me to come in and read for this movie. And after I read for it, they flew me out to Los Angeles just to audition to dance. They wanted to see if I could dance, and at the time I could. and and
You say that with a little bit of hesitation in your voice.
no, I could. But now I can't, is my point. So yeah, and I do remember my driver that picked me up at the airport was a man called Lynn, and he proceeded to drive me. Hi, you're being annoying.
We love
Drive
it. I love
me,
it.
for the entire shoot of Staying Alive. And I was driving along Los Angeles, and I'd never been to America before. I'd never been anywhere really. Oh, and so I said, do people often get flown out to audition for things, And he said, yeah, they do. And I was like, oh, okay. So probably just get flown out and then get flown. So I was like, So I was looking at all the buildings, and I come from England, which is, it's sort of
Has history.
very historical.
Yes.
And I was just looking at everything was flat. Everything was the same height. I was like, why do they build all their shops and houses and everything in the same height? Because I didn't know about earthquakes or anything. But
Right.
so I just was kind of interested in that. And then I saw freeways for the first time, and freeway on-ramps. And I was like, Starsky and Hutch, here I am.
Yes.
That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. And then so I met with John and Sly Stallone, who directed it, and then Saber and Danon Rawls, who choreographed.
Mhm.
And we did an audition. And then I read with John, and then Sly said, yeah, I think you can do this. And I was like, okay. And then he said, well, you're not going to get excited? And I was like, oh, I said, oh, I'm English. Sorry. Yeah, oh, great. I realized, oh, this is Hollywood. This is different. Okay, so anyway, but yeah, that's how it's happened. And John was amazing. I love him so much. He was the greatest.
Wow, that's a trip, because to yeah, his reaction that he was hoping for obviously wasn't the one you initially gave him, but still a big deal. It's like, yeah, this is huge, working with
Yeah.
arguably two of the biggest stars of the 80s.
Yeah.
And on a movie that, we are an 80s and 90s movie podcast, but it epitomizes the style and the music and everything about Staying Alive. Cheesy as it is just so
Yeah.
pure 80s.
It is. It's fantastic. And then when I see other 80s movies, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. Like I saw something the other day. It's amazing. It's Patrick Swayze on roller skates. Have you seen that thing
This is going around.
with the whip with the
Yes.
I was like, geez, I mean,
I forget what it's called. It's like this hidden gem that none of us were aware of, and now suddenly it's making the rounds.
It's
yeah,
not roller buggy, is it?
I don't know what it's
No,
called.
it's not roller
Somebody
boogie.
knew that it was
Where
it's
was it?
phenomenal. Like he's an
Yeah.
athlete. The man's an athlete. And Cynthia
Skate
Rhodes,
Town, USA.
Oh,
what's it
skate.
called? Oh,
Skate
Skate.
Skate Town, USA,
That is worth a watch. I
1979.
gotta
Yeah.
find that. Because Patrick Swayze, my God, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And Cynthia Rhodes, who was in Staying Alive, also blew my mind because she could do anything, like anything, and sing, and just, acrobatics. And that was the thing that I learned being here. And I always wanted to come to America to dance, because the dancing was just amazing. And the
What
fearless.
what was the difference between dancing in the States versus dancing overseas?
I don't know. I mean, I think the training in England is incredible.
Okay.
And we take everything very, very seriously. And I think it's changed. I think now the West End and Broadway are very neck and neck. Um, but I feel like when I was growing up and dancing, Bob Fosse's dancing came during that Royal Command performance. They came also to perform for the Queen, and they did Sing Sing. And I was sitting in the audience, I mean, like during rehearsal, and I was just, okay, I'm going to fold myself up in any one of these people's suitcases. And I'm going to ask them to take me to America with them. I don't care who takes me, because it was fearless, and it was sexy. Um, and that when I got to Staying Alive and I saw some of the dancers, like they were wearing cut off stuff, it was the 80s, and like, whatever
Right.
get to hang
Yeah.
out was gonna hang out. And I was like, oh, sign me up, sign me up. And I just really took to it, yeah.
That's amazing. Was it grueling? Was the choreography and it must have been really
I think it was
challenging.
6 weeks rehearsal before we ever even got to filming.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And John, prior to that, like 3 months, was training with someone called Dan. I forget what his last name was, who was really kind to me, and uh was training to become to like really get to be able to dance like that. Like he did all his own dancing.
Well, in insane shape as well. I
In
mean,
shape.
this movie, what Saturday Night Fever did for dancing, I think Staying Alive did for Ozempic ads, nowadays, where like people are like, I want to look like that. You're like, well, that takes at least
A long time.
a
Yes.
long time to get to.
And he had this little tiny loincloth, which I never
Yeah.
really understood. And we all had to wear hairband. Like we all had those like headbands. And I feel like I might be right in saying that it was Sylvester Stallone's mother that suggested that the headband was the big thing.
Well, she wore headbands. I'm just putting the
Is that
pieces
correct?
together. Yeah.
Is that correct? Yes. So then maybe I'm not,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Looks like you got to
I
do this.
I feel
Yeah.
like I'm out of the
That's how
loop
she
with
spoke.
Sylvester Stallone's fashion, with Sylvester Stallone's mom's fashion
Well, his
sense.
mom was like a psychic too. Like she had yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
I think
We
she
must.
even had a psychic channel or something like that. Or
Yes. He was great.
Wow.
He's a Renaissance man, that one.
yeah, I think that we had Vince DiCola on the show who composed the songs with Cynthia Rhodes in the
Yeah.
studio and talked about Moody Girl and with Frank Stallone and how he played like he recorded these songs on a cassette tape and then sent them to Frank to give to Sly, and then the rest is history, obviously. But you know, all of those pieces put together, Staying Alive just got a Blu-ray release on Kino,
Oh,
and
sweet.
yeah, it looks fantastic. The sound is amazing. Um, yeah, there's something about that movie that there's a charm to it,
Yeah.
and like to this day, when you know, I love the line where he's like, you know, the dance instructor says, I'm joy. And he goes, well, I'm happiness, you know, kind of like this ridiculous showing how what a buffoon he is. But, working with John Travolta in that role as Laura, you know, you had to be very cutthroat.
Yeah.
Did that come naturally to you?
Yeah. No, no. Um, no, I don't know. I mean, it would just seem the part. I mean, it was it was fun to do. Like Sly's a really good director, Like he's excellent. And I really thought he was incredible, like to work for with and just and then John, like I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing at
This is
all.
your first big, like,
Yeah.
leading role, you
But
know?
I'd never, I mean, I did the Nutcracker, but
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing there either. But um, so yeah, I had no clue. I mean, I'd been to a theatrical school, so hopefully, I could hit my mark. So let's just say that, and I took direction really well. So, Sly, it was just, he just give me things like you want to kill him, just like you want to kill him. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I could do that. So those are very good suggestions because they're active and yeah. So so you you kind of yeah, I
Well,
don't know.
a lot of times people say, you know, playing a villain is way more fun than playing a
Oh,
hero.
it's so much more fun
Why is that? I'm always curious. Get
because
people's
it's
opinions.
savage. It's just savage. You just get to be savage. And then Sly did something very, very interesting at the end, which and he told me, he said, I want you to do this because it'll save you. And I was like, okay. And it's when I walk out, like the character, Laura, walks out, and Cynthia and John are sort of standing together and they're hugging
Yeah.
and or kissing. It's right before he goes, I'm going to strut and walk out. And I'm
Yeah.
sort of walking behind and I'm like far away
Right.
backstage. And he said, when you see the two of them, just nod like, yeah, okay, you won or whatever, like, And I was like, oh,
Great.
that's, so it's like you're not, you don't have sour grapes, and so you're like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you have dimensions. You're not just this.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
know that I had dimensions in that film alone.
Well,
Like, very,
but it reminds me of iconic quote unquote villains in dramatic films like Johnny from Karate Kid. You know, at the
oh
end
my
when
God,
he's like, "You're not so bad, LaRusso," or "You're okay,
yeah,
LaRusso."
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it gives the villain quote unquote, because I don't consider you guys villains. I consider you, this is your job. This is what
Yeah,
you know, and you have no choice but to excel. Otherwise, you're going to be out on the street.
yeah, you're the
And
Right.
protagonist. I mean, the antagonist. So you have to antagonize.
right, right. No, I love that. I love that little moment. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's just like, okay, she has a redeeming quality about her. She's not such a bad person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Zach, you mentioned Moody Girl, but you did not mention Far From Over, which is
No.
a
Oh,
song that is
okay.
so iconic and still, today is used. Um, I mean, we could argue that that song is, yeah, maybe the best montage song, the best.
It's great. That montage is awesome.
It
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
all those 80s montages from all those movies, starting with Rocky, really. I mean,
Right.
and I remember Sly, we were in a car, I can't remember where I was going, and he played me some of the Bee Gees songs,
Hmm.
and he's like, we're gonna use this in the movie. And I was like, oh my God, they're amazing. And he goes, and Sly said to me, they don't sound like girls, do they? I was like, what?
Hey, they don't sound like girls. Oh man.
Have you seen that documentary
So
about the Bee
funny.
Gees on HBO?
No, everybody's told me to watch it. I haven't
Well,
seen it.
are you a fan of the like
Yeah,
what
oh yes,
genre? Okay.
yes.
All right. Because being a dancer, I would assume that you would enjoy dance music, but what's your preferred like genre of music to listen to?
Now,
Yeah.
um, hmm, it's interesting. I was listening. I'm a big fan of like there's so many beautiful female singers right now, and I don't think Billie Eilish can do anything wrong, and I don't think Beyonce can do anything wrong.
Hmm.
So the two tracks that if I want to like jump around and be really nuts is
Yeah.
one bad guy from Billie Eilish, and it's got that beat that they got from either Australia or New Zealand,
Hmm.
the crosswalks, and it's like and that one it's got like a real sort of dubstep to it at a certain point. And then the other thing, Beyonce's got a track from Lemonade, which I think is that's my queen track. And God, what is it called now? Um, it's like a really nasty song. And so anyway, so those kind of things, like now that's anything Beyonce and I'll jump up and dance. But yeah, so I like stuff like that. I like something that's got a
Yeah.
heavy beat to it. Yeah.
Do you still dance to this day? Do you take like dance classes and
I don't take dance classes. I want to go back to tap, but I move around in my house until my children are like, please stop. So,
that's what my son says to my wife. So,
is that right? Oh, well, I hope she keeps dancing.
Girls Just Want to Have Fun is one of her favorite movies, and there's so much free form dancing in that. But then Staying Alive is so choreographed, and it's
Yeah,
so
it
like
is.
I love to dance, but I'm a terrible dancer. I'm like worse than Paul Rudd on his best day, and but
You
I
can't
love,
do
but I
anything
think it's
without
endearing.
Paul Rudd. You know who I didn't know was a great dancer is Steve Martin. I just saw him on a little clip
Yes,
with, yeah, with Gregory Hines. I was like,
Gregory Hines, amazing.
incredible. I put it up on my Instagram. I just thought it was amazing. I'd never seen it before.
I
So
believe
Nice
that's
one.
where I saw it on your Instagram. So there you go. Uh,
that's good.
I gotta jump. So we want to talk about Aspen Extreme because that movie personally holds a really nostalgic place in my heart. Um, I don't know why, but it was
I'm
one of the
fine.
first movies I ever purchased as a kid when I got my own VCR, my own TV, and I bought the VHS tape at Suncoast Video, and I would put it on in the background all the time because it's such like a dramatic. I don't know. There's just a flow to it that it never
Please
gets.
put it on.
Here we are, and here we are over 30 years later. I watched it the other day, and like the same nostalgia just rushed back into me.
It was a really fun shoot. I'm not gonna lie. It was we shot in Aspen, and the cast was amazing. Terry Polo, who I know to this day, and Peter
Peter Berg,
oh God, he was so great. And who knew? Like, yes, I knew because he was so clever, but that he's become such a brilliant director,
right?
such an incredible director. And then
Paul Gross,
Paul Gross.
yeah,
Yeah, Canadian. Yeah.
nice
And
Canadian guy.
yeah, it was very nice. Yeah, he was very nice. It was a hard shoot though, because I couldn't ski.
Okay, that's the yeah. You
Not at
couldn't
all.
ski at
Like
all?
literally no. I
Oh,
learned
wow.
how to ski there. But the first time I was in skis, it was pathetic. And I I had to they had like a real like an Olympic skier playing me, right? Doing
Yeah.
all everything. But in order for me to like, pull in at the end of the whole, and like just
Right.
stand there and like sort of my mark, I had to be pushed, right? So literally there were like these like, stage people they just were pushing me and and then I would just stop on my mark. And then there was sandbags so that I wouldn't, oh, it was a mess. It was awful, humiliating and terrible. But anyway, there
It
you go.
sounds like because I'm a person. Dustin, are you a skier?
I haven't skied in many, many years.
Yeah,
I
I'm
can only
terrible.
imagine it would be really bad.
I'm actually not bad now because
Well,
I've
because you
like
got trained by an
I
Olympic.
got trained by Olympic skiers.
Because you have
Yes.
stagehands that push you down the hill. We
And
know.
actually, it's so weird. Like I can't ski on my own. There has to be these two gentlemen behind me. It's just so strange. And they
But
help
I'm so good. I am so
and,
good.
and I'm so good. But they're always with me. And it's very expensive because I have to buy tickets for them all the
And sandbags too. You got to bring a lot of sandbags.
and they're heavy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They are
Yeah,
heavy.
there's that shoot looked. I mean, you're in paradise. You're in a ski pleasure paradise, basically.
Basically.
Wearing ridiculous fur outfits all the time, and once
Oh,
again, you're
and the I always remember this. Um, the director, whose name I forget now, but uh
Patrick Hasbur.
oh, that's right, Patrick. That's right.
Research.
Yes, very good. Uh, and the we had to wear obviously the look of the time was the shiny kind of ski pants, very
Yeah,
shiny, and then a bomber jacket, also very shiny. Like everything seemed to shine. And so I remember walking past him one time and he was growling at the wardrobe person. And he said, I want to be able to bounce a penny off her ass in the,
wow.
the shiny pants. I was like, okay. So yeah, they were tight. Let's just put it that way. Very tight. And
It's very interesting because there were so many movies like coming out of the 80s and going into the 90s that were sort of about ski culture or ski schools or and no character was held with higher regard in these movies than a ski instructor, right? Like it was like that's the highest you can go.
Right.
Um, but Aspen Extreme kind of changes things up because it's really dark. You
yeah,
know,
it's
Yeah.
very sad.
it's
It's very sad.
it's
Yeah.
very sad and it's like it's tonally a movie where like it's not like a goofy it's not like a fraternity house on the slopes or anything like that. It's not Animal House or
Ski school.
there's no debauchery. It's really
Yeah.
just it is just like a really character piece about these best friends.
And I want to say that it was Patrick's story. I want to say that it maybe had
Oh,
happened to him that
Oh, really?
I want to say or it was his friend or something. I can't remember, but I know that there was a link there,
It's a personal piece, obviously.
which is very sad, and I always remember like as the bitch. So
Yeah.
weird. But
yeah,
shame.
not the villain, not you're not an antagonist, really. You're just
Just
a bit,
downright.
yeah, yeah, you're a
And
bitch.
I I remember standing there one night, we were shooting a scene, and it's where I want um Paul's character to go out and like,
TJ. Yeah.
yeah, is that right, TJ?
Yeah.
And he's upset because obviously his friend has passed away.
Right.
And I think I had something like, oh, just get yourself together. You're so depressing when you're
Yeah.
like that. I think that was my line.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember doing that. And I remember thinking I should really just throw it away because it makes it colder.
Mm.
If you just like make it sort of, oh, for God's sake, can you just get dressed or get over it? Yeah.
Well, that is the moment when your relationship ends because I mean, in a way, it's a role reversal because you're the quote unquote like stereotypical white rich male who finds this side piece, to like hire and be like, you're gonna be my toy, right? And now he's the boy toy basically, but you guide him. There's also a piece to you that is endearing because you guide him on the path that he's supposed to ultimately go on. So there's this redeeming quality again, just like with Staying Alive. However, in that moment when you said, just get over it, or you're so boring, or you're like, well, I do feel bad for you. I am sorry, but there's always that but piece, and then and that's what ends it. But it's
The butt piece. Sorry.
the right that you could bounce a dime
Act
off
12.
of.
Bounce a dime.
Yeah, there you go. But I think that's what this sets this film apart from those typical sport themed films, or elevates it in a way, because there's a lot of depth to this that I don't think it gets the credit for.
Right.
Again, 31 years later, I watched it the other night, and I'm just like, man, it's still having the same emotional impact on me that it did
Right.
way back when.
And also you've got like a lovely actress like Terry Polo, I mean,
Well,
and
all of you guys are so good. You're all so good. Like you show up on the scene, and it's funny because like your reactions to, like, TJ's like, oh, I don't know, Dexter is trying to like say, get you guys connected. This guy was in the Olympics, or was training for the Olympics, right?
This guy wasn't in the Olympics, is what
Wasn't.
he
And then, yeah.
says.
And then
Yes.
TJ's like, oh, I forfeited my status by winning a $50 bowling league tournament or something like that. But you're like, your laugh to it was like, oh, it's funny and you're cute, but we'll see where this goes. It's a great moment.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That was a really fun shoot. I must say I really enjoyed it. Um and I learned how to ski.
I
And
just love the fact that you carry sandbags to this day with you.
I do. Yes, I can't break the habit, Yeah.
Um, I just also want to be mindful of your time and everything. We want to get to some fan questions later,
Oh, sure.
but you were in a TV movie called Generation X, and
Yeah.
you're a part of the Marvel universe.
Well, we were the I'd like to say the sort of the sandbag that set it all in motion. We just sort of I think it was the first segue that Stan Lee had made, or one of the first. And is my cat being too noisy because she's got a ring around?
It's really entertaining, actually.
Like, she's just okay.
No.
If we do a round two with you in the studio, then you'll have to bring the cat with you. It's a prerequisite.
I don't work without sandbags.
Sandbags and the cats together. He just destroys a sandbag while we're.
That's right. Yes, you. um, and so what was I saying?
Generation X with
Oh yeah,
Stan Lee.
Generation.
Yeah.
That's right, Stanley. So I wanted that role so much.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I went in for the audition and I didn't hear anything back. And they were like, yeah, it's like, can you go back? Can you wear a mini skirt? They want to see that, you'll be able to look like a superhero. I was like, okay. And so I did. And I then called somebody, I can't remember, and I said, I really want to play this role. I really want, because I hadn't seen anything like that, and
No.
I knew about the comics, and I'd gone to the comic store, right? And when I first did the audition, and I'd looked at who Emma Frost was, and I was like, oh my, come on. And I was shiny, more shiny tights, just roll them up.
Awesome.
I wear shiny tights forever. And so, yeah.
Always bouncing change off your.
That's right. Like that's,
Yeah.
I have that as my epitaph. I want to wear shiny tights forever. Yeah. And so they were like, okay, you can play her.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, sure. Oh God, if you must. And I just loved it. And I met Stan Lee, and he came out to the shoot. And I just remember thinking, okay, you're the cleverest man I've met so far, like ever. He just is so clever and interesting. And I think the day that he came, I was shooting something where I was marching, I was walking, and like very officious, and in these huge thigh-high silver boots. It was great.
Just the fact how excited you got the minute we said that shows you why you were meant to play that role.
I know it.
You didn't even go the like you did with Staying Alive, where you didn't show emotion. You actually got
you didn't
excited.
say I'm English and I don't want this part.
You've been in the States too long, I
Never
guess.
said I didn't want this.
Right, I'm just not showing it.
Sorry.
I'm
Then
not
I said
showing
I'm
it.
English, and that's
I
how
don't react.
they
Yes.
don't react. I've
The
since
card's
learned.
close. Yes.
I play it all close to the chest. What is
Yes.
it like the Robin Williams does, like Martha Grant inside. So I play it all.
What comic book store? Do you remember the name of the comic book store you went to?
It was in Glendale.
Oh,
So
okay.
I don't know if it's still there.
Okay.
That's a long time ago. We shot that. That's got to be
Yeah, well, the movie it came out in 96.
96. So 94, maybe we shot it 95.
Yeah.
Maybe 95. We shot it up in Vancouver.
Okay.
I made some great friends there, Heather Coombe and oh gosh. Anyway, Heather, I stay in touch with, but there was a really Randy, I think his name is Randy. He became a great photographer,
Hmm.
Randall. And anyway, yeah, it was a great shoot. You know, I had to bleach my eyebrows. And so every day, you know, when we went out afterwards, you know, I'd have black hair and like no face and just like no eyebrows. So I bleached my eyebrows and we had this great white blonde wig, and it was great. It was fun. I can see the appeal in playing superheroes is so massive. I can see why it's so much fun, because you're given powers, and you know, it's just like it's just great. It's just great fun. I can see the appeal that they get all these huge actors to play these roles, because you really want to do that. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
ultimate childhood dream that
Yeah.
realized as an adult. So, and we all have that child inside us. We just need to find a way to bring it out.
Yes. Yes. Legally. Yes.
Well, yeah. It also was at a time when I don't think audiences or even TV people got TV audiences got superhero content. You know, The Incredible Hulk was not, it was a drama. Like the Spider-Man, what we had on television at the time didn't reflect what we saw in the comic books. So Generation X comes out and it was, I think, ahead of its time, underappreciated. You know,
Sure.
it would be nice to see if it lands on Disney Plus, and then maybe you can get some residuals out of it, and then there you go. So.
From your lips. Um, you know, I grew up also watching Batman and Catwoman and Eartha Kitt. So that was, you know, like, oh yeah, give me a Lycra head thing, you know, with years.
Yes.
You'd
That's
play a great Catwoman. That would be fantastic.
you know, I gotta say, Michelle Pfeiffer, she and
Yeah, she's
also
all right.
and so Zoe Kravitz. Come
Yeah,
on,
Mm.
Zoe Kravitz, that jawline. I mean, she was made for that role. Yeah.
it's true. It's true.
Yeah. My son and I, when we went to see it, my son, he's 20. Now he's 20. He wasn't then. But he just sat next to me going, her jaw, like her face.
Her jaw.
Zoe Kravitz, you know.
There's this thing that my son does this thing now where he does his finger across his jawline. He goes, it's like called mewing or something like that.
Oh,
I
I
don't,
don't.
it's what the
Oh,
kids say
really?
nowadays. Yeah,
Oh,
mewing. I don't know, but he does this like jawline thing, and I don't know
I
what
don't
that
know.
means.
I'll have to ask. I'll ask Cash and my son, that's my middle son, and he'll be like, "Don't do that." Probably because
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's seen as appropriating. So it's something from a teenager, from the youth.
How is it used situationally? Like this
Yeah,
mewing
like
thing?
what
Is
does
it
he
like
do
in
when he's
social
saying?
media kind of thing? Or like
Well, no, so
posing?
we were on a field trip the other day. We went to the Getty Villa here in Los Angeles in
Oh, I
Malibu.
love that place.
Yeah, same. And I've been taking him there since he was 3. He's now 10.
They have
Uh,
that great interactive kids place. It's so
they
fun.
do. And then they had a great audio tour as
Yeah.
well, kind of tied in with Percy Jackson when the books came out. And
Oh,
for kids, it's a great interactive tour for kids. And the docent was giving him a shout out in the group, and he starts doing this thing, he's doing this mew
Oh.
thing or whatever it is, or then I'm like, oh, so it's like when someone compliments you, it's in a way of like, hey, I'm cool. Like,
people are going to take this section and they're going to be like, you want to see some like old people talking about what young
Right.
you're old, you guys aren't old. I mean, I'm definitely old, but
no
like
cap.
you know, talking about like what the young people are doing.
Well, we did that too. Our generation, what were our sayings when we were in the 80s? Bitchin' and rad and
Yeah,
I
but,
mean still say rad, but choice, something was choice. I don't know.
oh, I
Yeah,
don't
but
remember that.
the pose, I don't remember like having like a pose that we would go into, or like
I, it's the
maybe,
same.
I don't know.
A
I don't
pose.
know. But what was the docent? Was the docent complimenting his jaw? Because that would make it okay.
No, no, she was
Look at this
complimenting
jaw.
the fact that he's been to the Getty so many times and is,
Oh,
knows Greek
and
mythology
he's a nerd.
and he,
No, that's not. No, I'm just kidding.
well, nerds
That's
are
That's
nice.
rad now. Nerds are
Nerds are
bitching now.
no.
nerds are. That's yeah.
Yeah.
Nerds
We
cool.
have some questions from fans
Right.
that we'd like to get to. Ty asks, what was it like making Jekyll Island with Brian James and Everett McGill? Do you remember a movie called Jekyll Island?
I do.
Two great character actors, by the way, in Everett McGill and Brian James.
Yes, they were amazing actually. I think that I played a FBI agent, did I think?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad you know that. Yes,
I
it was
had to look it up because I'm like, Jekyll Island, let's make sure that
it was great. We were at the Sea Islands down in Charlotte, down in down at the bottom, is that North Carolina or
in
where
the
is that?
Carolinas, yeah.
The Sea Islands. So we were down there and look, anytime I get to play, I just I just I think I just was pretending to be an FBI agent and that everybody was taking it very seriously and yeah, I don't even remember the story. I do remember there was somebody died, but I don't remember the story very
It's an
much.
interesting thriller. I mean, that the cast alone, you and then the other two actors I mentioned, it's worth
Yeah.
checking out.
Yes, that's right. And I think that they were instigators in getting the movie made, very much so.
Oh, okay,
So
cool.
it's really nice to be asked to do it. And yeah, I really like that. And then I made another one too around the same time with Dennis Hopper. And that one I
Yes.
can't remember what that was called either, but
It's funny you say that because
Awesome.
Ty he had asked two questions, and that
oh,
was the other follow-up was working with Dennis Hopper, which is really funny.
and I don't remember what that movie was called. Uh
Um,
no,
yeah,
anyway.
Zach owns it. Don't worry. He
no,
doesn't know
I
what it's called, but
don't.
he owns it.
But
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper was that was really cool. And in order to talk to him, we were in the makeup room and he was sitting there and I thought I have to strike up a conversation.
Right.
So I asked him about Julian Schnabels because he's a big art collector. And
Yes.
and it was great. We started and then from there on he would talk to me about anything. It was great. Yeah, it was really
That
nice.
was like the key to his heart.
Mm, yeah. And I
We
knew
had
I love art too, like you, and I love going to the Getty and I love art and artists. And so uh, I knew that he owned a piece of Julian Schnabel, so we talked about it. It's
Didn't he
good.
have a home in Taos, New Mexico, too?
I think so, and one in Santa Monica, I believe. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yeah. And speaking of the art community in Taos, it's a whole vibrant
Oh
art community.
God,
So,
I really want to go there. Yeah, I would love to go there.
well, they've got a great skiing
Oh,
community there too.
I have to pack sandbags. Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
Sandbags and your people
My
and
people.
your holders,
Yes.
guiders.
Yeah.
You are most well known to our audience for your role in General Hospital. And by the way, I don't know if this is accurate, but according to the latest statistics, you have been in 1,775 episodes, which is insanely amazing.
1,000, how many?
775.
God.
that's
Um,
insane.
and our next question comes from Amy, who says, "Happy early 40th anniversary of playing the iconic and fierce Anna Devane on General Hospital. In what ways has playing this character impacted you personally?"
So much.
Yeah.
It continues to grow, it's a really amazing, it's just an amazing thing that happened, really. Being given a role like this because it continues to grow. Like I never stop losing interest in how else I can make the character of Anna Devane more. Like it's just where else does she go? Like is, what hurts her? What is she going to do next? What's dangerous? It's just I really am incredibly fortunate that this happened for me and for all of us in the soap community. We talk about flying below the radar. We just get up daily and we go in and we get to act. And you get to know people for 40 years and you get to constantly create. And it's never not interesting. It's never not interesting.
It's really cool. It's really
That's
cool.
an amazing perspective too. And so there was never a point where you in this journey with Anna where you did maybe question like, how do I keep reinventing her, or how do I pivot to keep it interesting? Because that's a long time to play the same character.
Right.
No, there's never been a moment. There was a moment way back in the 90s when they decided to do the story of Starman, the story with Jeff Bridges. I think it's Jeff Bridges. And
Yeah. John
and
Carpenter.
yeah, oh yeah, such a good film. So they decided that there was going to be an alien in my garage. And at that point I was like, did we jump the shark? What's happening here? But it actually turned out to be a really good story. So yeah. I've never, I think maybe Anna needs a cat.
I think you
Yes,
just added, what can you do now and moving forward with that character? It is
Yeah.
pretty insane to think about the fact that that first of all, the show has been on for so long.
Six,
Also,
five
like
years.
Dustin throws out a statistic of like, 1,700 episodes or whatever. That is crazy to fathom. I don't think people necessarily, when you think about it in those terms, it must be mind blowing for you.
That is like when you put it like that.
Yeah, it's really wild.
And it's true too sometimes. And I know other actors on the show would say the same thing. You'll look at things from the 80s or 90s, or 2000s, and you'll look at a scene and you'll be like, I see that I'm in the scene because I can
Right.
see myself, but I do not remember
yeah,
shooting.
Right. Right.
yeah.
I don't remember.
So there's
So
going to be, I'm sure there's at conventions or whatnot where you meet fans and they bring up a particular episode and you're like, okay, yeah, no,
Yeah.
sure.
You
yep,
say so.
yep.
Yeah.
Um, one more question because I wanted to ask it in the beginning when you were talking about staying alive, but I wanted to save it to the end because Allie had asked it. Do you still own the infamous leotard and headband from
No,
Satan's Alley in Staying Alive?
the red, no. I would wear it every Halloween, but no, I don't.
Really? You would wear it
I
every
don't,
Halloween?
no, probably not. But probably not.
I'm sure you can
Um,
get it on
Yeah.
Amazon nowadays,
yeah, I don't have it. And that was created by Bob Mackie.
Really?
Yes.
Oh
He
wow.
made all the costumes. And this is
Wow.
how lovely a man he is. Um, I came from London, walking right into Hollywood, never been to America, blah, blah, blah. And I had just, I'd come off Cats. And in Cats, we wear like a unitard. That unitard I actually do still own, by the way. So my Cats outfit I got. Uh,
Is it covered in cat fur?
no, it's actually preserved. I've got it in
Oh,
Greece. I
good.
had it professionally and it's preserved and blah,
Good.
blah, blah. So I don't know, I could probably get my thigh in it, but now anyway. Um, so so I go to a fitting with Bob Mackie, and he's got like a full-length red unitard that's what glossy tights. That's what he wants me to wear. And I say to him, would it be all right if it was just a leotard and I wore like hose, like tights, like like regular hose, just because I think maybe it would be sexier somehow. And
Mhm.
and he was like, let's have a look. We'll play around with that. And to his credit, he made that leotard. He changed his idea, and everyone else were in unitards. And I just wore this sort of slinky leotard that was cut very low and had long sleeves, I think. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I just thought maybe, but anyway, we went with it, and I thought that was really, really nice and really, really generous because the guy was a huge, he was doing shares stuff and enormous,
I
enormous.
mean, and also probably took a lot of courage for you to ask that question, because it's not
No,
like
I
you.
had no clue it was a big deal.
Yeah, okay. Well, but it is nice to hear that, like, Sly's giving you freedom on set to try give, as
Yeah.
far as direction is concerned. Working with John, who clearly is someone fun to work with,
Wonderful.
alongside, and then Bob Mackie being a legendary fashion icon, it's nice
Yeah.
to hear, versus, oh, he was a
Yeah.
jerk and he gave me this outfit and you wear it,
Right.
kid.
Nope,
Would it,
not at all. No. And then who did the hair? It was the big guy with the cowboy hat. Oh my
Not
God.
Vidal Sassoon, right?
No, no, no. Oh my gosh, that's terrible that I can't
Someone's
remember.
freaking out right now because they're going, I know who that is.
No, they do. They do. I'll think of it as soon as we're off. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, so that was my Bob Mackie was just lovely.
Oh,
Lovely,
that's great.
sweet, sweet person.
That's great. I'm sure there's people. I mean, that outfit epitomizes 80s right there. It
Oh, I
screams
know.
80s. So great.
really
Yes,
does.
I know.
Finola, this was a pleasure to have you on,
You guys
sincerely.
are great. You guys are fun. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you
Thank
Thanks.
for
you for
joining us.
knowing so much about these obscure films. Yeah, I can't believe you brought up the apple. It's kind of amazing, but yeah.
Well, it might. Well, if we ever do that screening of Staying Alive, dude, Dustin, that would be amazing. The Apple and Staying
Zach will
Alive.
be finding you a poster as soon as we.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna, yeah, somebody go on eBay. There's got to be one out there.
For sure. But yes,
You
that
could
would be
maybe
amazing.
get Catherine Mary Stewart. I bumped into her in New York City actually. Probably I want to say 2002,
Well,
2002.
another great Canadian like Paul Gross, super
Yeah,
nice. And
super nice. And she just said, "Oh my God, they play the movie," and she goes, and they play the movie there in New York City, and I was like, "What?" Yeah.
have you ever done those? Have you ever done like the Q&A at a screening or
No,
something?
no, I haven't. But I did
Oh,
go to the Rocky Horror Show in London one time. But no, I've never done that. No,
come on.
I know.
That you got to do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Have fun
you.
with the cat.
Have a great day. Bye,
You too.
Dustin.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.